I am Dr. Yakin Abdullah Habib, the author of the book It's Time for the Black Man's Revolution: How to Save Nigeria Now for Future Nigerians. In the 11th episode, I presented a brief of chapter 15 of the book, which was centered on the urgent need for a turnaround. I now give a brief of chapter 16, which is titled The Fatalistic Illusions. Fatalism has also been with man. Time is a continuum, and every time, day, and period has its own responsibility, such that when deferred, it further compounds the situation. In addition, when there is a responsibility, it certainly falls on the shoulder of someone or some people. The people are the shoulder upon which responsibility of societal change falls. The people are the wheel which drive political change. This is so because the people are the center of communal existence, which is the basis of society, and society is in turn the basis of nationhood, which then necessitated the existence of state. Therefore, the whole social-political structure and system is built around the people. In addition, the people are the essence and real custodian of society, as they are the most affected by all the elements and dynamics in it. However, it is also man's characteristic to abandon responsibility, both as individual and societal level. The cause of abandoning or reneging on social responsibility varies from cowardice, ignorance, procrastination, misplacement of priority, defeatism, or fatalism. Interestingly, when one looks at all the causes listed above, there is a significant and usual connection between ignorance and the others, to such an extent that one can say without reservation that ignorance is almost at the heart of the black man's entire predicament. When we talk about ignorance here, the socio-political realities of today have taken such a peculiarity that one has to explain even what ignorance is. Ignorance here is neither a lack of awareness nor lack of information or literary skills, but the really instructive question is, what are we aware of? And what information do we have? One may ask, are we aware of the irrelevant things while oblivious of the key dynamics and everyday metrics that affect our present lives and shape our future? If the answer to this is in the affirmative, then this brings in the factor of misplaced priority in our socio-political life. Is the information we have about the socio-political environment and occurrences in them the right information, or are they merely distractions, stereotypes, and half-truths? This is a serious and fundamental challenge in Africa, such that the larger chunk of its people is absolutely ignorant. And for the few who are fortunate to be classified as learned, what do we really know? This aspect is a serious bane on the socio-political progress. Another aspect of ignorance is the ignorance of the consequences of our lifestyle on our national life, and also the consequences of our political indifference or dormancy as a people. The late Afro musician Fela Anikulapo Kuti attributed cowardice as the reason why Nigeria will accept just about anything that comes their way in the form of oppression and governmental excesses. We fail to realize that in actual sense, the people are more powerful than any government, because government gets its first credential for existence and legitimacy from the people. The government also relies on the support and obedience of the people to remain in control. And so All that is needed to bring down any government to the correction table is as simple as a civil disobedience. No doubt, there will be casualty in standing up against a government or regime, and the number of casualties varies depending on the level of civilization or brutality of the regime. And it looks like Nigerians cannot afford or are not ready to sustain anything more than just one casualty. We are ready to capitulate once the government is brazen enough, which they are almost more than ready to put down just one man. The common thought behind this unspoken mindset is that even that one man can be me, and I don't want to die. This is what everybody says, which was well captured in Fela's song, Sorrow, Tears, and Blood. The level of cowardice is so appalling that even the misgivings and exploitation perpetrated against us in our personal and business lives will go scot-free. For example, an average Nigerian will allow himself to be exploited to the most detestable levels by service provider like electricity distribution company, DISCOs, and GSM operators without even the slightest effort to seek redress through the arbitration of regulatory bodies, even when these agencies have been created to enable us eschew the difficulties of approaching the regular course. Neither do most Nigerians care to know the regulations bordering around the services we subscribe to. For example, electricity tariffs are governed by MITO, the multi-year tariff order, which sets out the amount of tariffs by different distribution companies and for all the different types of customers. All associated costs were considered before arriving at these, yet these costs go ahead to charge far beyond the tariff. One may ask, how many Nigerians are aware of MITO or multi-year tariff order? I once took up one of the discos that overcharged me over 3 million naira between January 2015 and December 2018 and eventually got redress. But how many Nigerians are ready to do even this simple one? The last dimension of ignorance we ought not to leave out here is the ignorance of our socio-political history. As a people, we have always admired great nations, comparing and contrasting ourselves with them in terms of achievement, advancement, development. But we hardly ask ourselves, what was the history of these nations? The role and sacrifices their people made for their countries to have reached the heights they achieve today. These two factors, ignorance and cowardice, have resulted in our indifference, defeatism, and fatalism, whereby we have come to commonly conclude that nothing can change or needs to be done. We need to realize that all the great nations of the world today that are the envy of Nigerians became what they are due to the efforts of the people. Great nations are not built by governments, but by the people. All the heroic people and their achievements have been made possible through the level of socio-political awareness, commitment, and activism of the people. This nation, at some particular time in their history, went through one form of revolution or the other, which was certainly at the instance of the people. The great names we now see in the form of leaders and politicians are the intellectual and social political offspring of those revolutions. The social and political order and culture that drive their national lives today are the outcome of those revolutions. It is now time for us, as the Nigerian people, to stand up for our only beloved country, which is the only place, as it were, that we can call ours and home. And most importantly, the only place we can live for our children in the future to live the dream life we have envisaged for them. We need to rise up, especially now, so that the rest of Africa can rise behind us before our children become slaves to the Chinese, for example, to whom we are now virtually mortgaging all our future. We need to rise to call now as never before. We are at the most critical juncture in history, whereby all the indicators predict extremely bleak future, and fortunately we can still do something about it right now. We must rise and break away from all fatalistic illusions that have held us back for decades and now pose a threat to our future generation, both born and unborn. Chief among these fatalistic illusions are these three. Our first fatalistic illusion is that we shall get it right one day. But the question is, when? When are we going to get it right? Is it when things have fallen totally apart? And how are we going to get it right? By doing nothing. As far as all known facts and experiences of life are concerned, something cannot come out of nothing. And so nothing has ever been achieved by doing nothing. Not in the physical sciences, and not even in social sciences, and not even in the arts or business. As it is, as it is usually said, you cannot continue to do the same thing the same way and expect a different result. Our second fatalistic illusion is that God will rescue Nigeria. Now, when God has been mentioned, it becomes a question of faith and religion, to which one has a right and freedom of belief. But it is also an absolute fact and principle that religious belief must be based on scriptural teachings. I'm glad that I'm not an atheist. I'm speaking from an informed understanding of the scriptures of the two predominant religions of Nigerians. Islam teaches that God does not change the condition of a people until they change their own attitudes, behaviors, and characteristics. And Christianity teaches that heaven helps those who help themselves. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo once said, quite instructively, that God must be a Nigerian. Looking at the way we have been lucky to survive things that broke other nations and rendered them into historical relics. Undoubtedly, God cannot be a Nigerian, as he is no human that needs an earthly home in the first place. Simply put, Nigeria is only being lucky. But how long should we continue to push our luck? Let's not become akin to a man who crossed the road and forgot to look out for an oncoming vehicle. Fortunately, made it to the other side without being knocked down. And consequently, on account of that, it became his habit to cross road carelessly, thinking that God must be his friend and will always save him. Our third fatalistic illusion is that Nigeria will change, but not in our generation. This is a historical and sociological ignorance. Sociopolitical change is a transgenerational phenomenon. No far-reaching societal change can be initiated and consolidated just within one generation. The dream change in Nigeria may only be realized in the most matured form by another generation. But our generation must certainly initiate and start the process. Whatever ingredients that will form the agenda must pass from our generation as a heritage to be learned and inculcated from the cradle by those who will perfectly nurture it to blossom. If we do nothing now, let's be rest assured that our future children shall curse us for being the cause of their predicament, which can be seen even right from now by those who have eyes. In the next episode, I will present chapter 17 on Nigeria's socio-political reality. You can obtain a copy of the book by clicking the link below. Thank you.